the next point. We should ensure whatever we see is clear.
That means work is being done. We can see that it is in opposite direction.
Hello, my dear students at home. It's good meeting you once more under this platform where we reach you through the Kaduna State government on e-learning. I'm Abbas Shehu, your commerce teacher as usual. Today we are going to continue and conclude on the topic we started with you, which is production. During our last lesson, we defined what production is. We equally talk about the forms of production, importance of production, factors of production, where we limited our discussion on the first one, which is land. Today we are going to talk about the remaining factors. If you remember, we talked about 4 factors, which is land, labor, capital, and entrepreneur. We define what land is. We look at the characteristics of land, importance of land, and the rest of them in our last class. Today, like I said, we will be looking at the other 3 and see what they are, what are their features, so on and so forth. Under this topic, in this class, we intend to cover the following areas. Look at what labor is, characteristics of labor, and then importance of types of labor and importance of labor. Then we look at capital. We will define what capital is. We look at types of capital. Then we will look at number 3, which is entrepreneur. We look at the definition of entrepreneur, characteristics of entrepreneur, importance of entrepreneur. These are the 3 areas that we intend to look at as far as this class is concerned. Number 1, we look at what we mean by labor. Labor is defined as all forms of human efforts put into or utilized in the process of production. All forms of physical and mental effort put in or utilized in the course of production. It also refers to man's mental and physical exertions in the process of production. Human beings provide the necessary labor which combines with other factors to provide goods and services. Goods and services cannot be produced without human effort. And this effort refers to both physical effort and mental effort. The effort put in by human beings in the course of carrying out production is what we refer to as labor. Machines cannot work by themselves. Human beings must be there to operate them. The people that are there operating those machines, making use of their physical effort, mental effort is what you are referring to as labor. And it's very, very key in terms of production. Now, having said what we mean by labor, it's important for us to know that we have what is known as reward for labor. All the other factors of production have their own individual reward. The other time we were talking about land, we said the reward for land is rent. Now we're talking about labor. The reward for labor is wages. Now we go to talk about now the types of labor. We have 3 different types of labor. Number 1 is skilled labor. Number 2, unskilled labor. The last one, semi-skilled labor. We'll look at them one by one. The first one, which is skilled labor, is the type of labor that makes more of mental effort. It is more of mental effort. And people that provide this kind of labor have to go to acquire skills through a long time training. They spend years in school in order to acquire skills that are needed in order to provide this type of labor. And that's why it is called skilled labor. people that provide this type of labor usually undergo a long period of training and specialization. Is highly involved. That is what you call specialization in terms of what they are going to provide in the course of production, in the course of creation of goods and services. And the categories of people that are under this labor include teachers, doctors, accountants, managers, etc. And their salaries are usually high because of the long period of time they spend in acquiring their skills, in acquiring education. This class of labor is what you call skilled labor. Then we have the next one, which is known as unskilled labor, opposite of skilled. Unskilled labor, this type of labor needs little or no formal form of education. People that provide this type of labor, they don't require skills. They don't go to school to spend years in acquiring education, in becoming specialized in a particular area or subject. Physical energy is needed more in this type of labor. It is not the mental effort that is needed here. What is most needed is the physical effort. Physical energy, what they can provide physically, is what is more needed here. Unlike in the other one, which is mental. And of course, their salaries, because they don't go to school to spend years in acquiring education, in acquiring skill, their salary is not high compared to those that are skilled labor. Their salary is usually low. That's talking about, and of course, in this class or categories, we have people like supporting staff. Supporting staff, which in those days we are referred to as cleaners, messengers, security men, so on and so forth. Then we go to semi-skilled labor. Semi-skilled labor. This includes those workers with little education. They have little education. They provide little of mental effort in the course of production. They provide little effort in the course of carrying out production, unlike the other ones that are unskilled, that only physical effort is needed in terms of carrying out their production activities. But this category of people, because they are semi-skilled, they have acquired a little level of education, not as high as those of skilled labor. They are above the unskilled labor, but not up to the skilled labor. So they are like in between. And of course, when you are in the process of production, when you are engaged in production, you need the services of all these three categories: the skilled workers, the semi-skilled workers, the unskilled workers. All their services are usually required in order to produce what you are producing as far as production is concerned. Then we go to characteristics of labor. What are the features of labor? There are so many of them. Number one, labor is mobile, meaning that it can be transferred. It can be moved from one place to another. A particular worker can be transferred from one factory to another, from one rank to another. This is what we call mobility of labor. It is mobile. It requires motivation because they are human beings. They are not like machines that only need service. Human beings require motivation. Motivation moves them to work harder, to give their best. It boosts their morale to work harder. Number three, it is skillful in nature. It is only labor that you will require long period of service, long period of training in order to acquire it, in order to become skilled. So it is skillful in nature. Number four, it is not predictable. This is because we are dealing with human beings. Human beings are unpredictable. It is not like a machine that you can predict. It is not like a vast land that you can predict. human beings are unpredictable. It is something you cannot predict. Anything can happen. You may think they are, well, today, doing very well, producing very well. Tomorrow, anything can change. Number 5, it is not fixed, unlike land. Land is fixed in nature, but labor is not fixed. It can increase and decrease depending on the circumstances, depending on what you are really in need of. If you need more, you can get more. If you need less, you can at any time reduce the number and have what you really need. Number 6, it is perishable. It is perishable. When we talk about perishable here, we are talking about human beings. As a result of age, they begin to diminish. And that's what we're talking about here when we're talking about being perishable. Number 7, its quality can be improved through education. You can improve the quality of labor through education. Even those are found within the skilled labor, their quality can equally be improved by undergoing further training. Not to talk about those that are even unskilled or those that are even semi-skilled. Number 8, it has initiative. Because we are human beings, we can initiate. We can think of what to do at a particular time depending on the situation. Unlike machines. Number 9, it is a human factor. It is a human factor, unlike land. Land is not a human factor, just like capital is not a human factor. But labor, and not only labor, and entrepreneur, these two are all human factors. And that's talking about the characteristics of labor. We now go to the last aspect of labor, which is importance of labor. Number 1, it provides personnel in the process of production. Without labor, you cannot get the people that will be there to work for you. It is labor that provides all the personnel that are needed in an organization in order to produce whatever is going to be produced, whether goods or service. Number 2, it helps in the production of goods and services. They are there, they equally help in the process of production. They give out their mental and physical efforts in order to have what is needed to be made, what is needed to be created. Number 3, it influences other factors of production actively. It is the labor that makes the machines work. It is the labor that makes the land to work too. It is labor that makes the capital that is there to work. In fact, it is even the labor that makes the entrepreneur to work. So it influences all other factors of production. And the last one we have here, it facilitates the operation of machines. It facilitates the operation of machines. It aids the working of the machines. Machines, like we said earlier on, cannot work by themselves. They must be there. Somebody must be there to make them work. And once that person is not there, they stop work. So it is labor that facilitates the operation of these machines, no matter how sophisticated they are. Let's talking about the second factor of production, which is labor. Now we are being able to talk about land in our last class. Now we are talking about what we mean by labor. And we now move to the third factor, which is capital. Capital is the third factor of production. And what is capital? Capital may be defined as man-made assets. Man-made assets used in the process of production. It may also be defined as the stock of previous wealth invested in order to produce future wealth. That's why capital is usually referred to as anything that is set aside, or any wealth that is set aside in order to produce further wealth used in the production or in the accumulation of further wealth. We refer to that as capital. It is also the total volume of money and all other assets put or set aside for the purpose of running a business. Whatever you put aside in terms of money and other assets. Because when we're talking about capital, we are not limiting it, we are not limiting it to money, as many people conceive. No, it is not only money. It involves other things that are put together, that are set aside. That's why we said it is man-made assets that include cash, that include machines, so on and so forth, that are put aside primarily to acquire more wealth. That's what we refer to as capital. Having said what we mean by capital, we now go further to look at the types of capital. Types of capital. There are several types of capital. Several types of capital. We have discussed some of them in one of our classes previously. We are not going to talk about those ones now, but we are going to talk about few ones that are here that you will see that will help you to know them very well and be able to answer questions in case of WAEC or NECO. The first one we have is what is known as fixed capital. Fixed capital. Second one is current or liquid capital. Then we have circulatory or working capital. The last one we have social capital, which means that we're going to look at only 4 of them. Number 1, which is fixed capital, refers to all assets that are not used up in the course of production. This capital refers to assets that are fixed in nature, that are not used up in the process of production. But production cannot take place without them. Production cannot take place without them, but they are not used up, like raw materials. They are durable assets of a business that can last for a very long period of time. They are durable assets. And by durable, it means they are assets that can be used over a long period of time. Sometimes more than 10 years. An example of this includes motor vehicles, buildings, machineries, so on and so forth. This is what you call fixed capital. Say it again. There are those assets that are used in the course of running the business, in the course of production, but they are not used up in the course of production. They are bought and used by a business over a long period of time, and that's why they are classified as fixed assets. They are classified as durable assets. That's talking about the first one. We now move to the second one, which is current or liquid capital. Current or liquid capital. It refers to the type of capital that are required for the day-to-day running of productive activities. Productive activities, day-to-day, those things that are required, that must be used, that are used up in terms of production activities, in terms of carrying out any form of production. We refer to those things as current or liquid capital. They also change from one to another. They change from one form to another. And examples of this include stock, cash, debtors. We talk about changing from one to another, from one thing to another. If you have cash, for example, by the time you buy goods with them, the cash is no longer there. What you have now is what? The goods that you are having. And by the time you sell the goods, you don't have goods, you have cash. That's what you mean by changing form. Today they are this, tomorrow there will be something else, depending on what you are doing with them. And we refer to them as current or liquid capital. The debtors, if you have people that are owing you, by the time they pay you, they are no longer debtors. What you have now is cash. Then we have the third one, which we call circulatory or working capital. And this refers to the type of capital that is used up in the course of production. They consist capital goods which either change their form or are used up in the course of production. Either change their form or they are used up in the course of production, like raw materials. You cannot produce goods of whatever form without converting raw materials, because the raw materials are the ones that are normally converted into finished goods, into products that are used, into products that are sold. So those things that are used up, that you buy as raw materials, that you process, that you manufactured in order to have the final goods, are those things that we refer to as circulatory or working capital. We talk about raw materials. Not only raw materials, the money you spend in buying fuel, in buying diesel that you are using in terms of making whatever you're making, all constitute what we call circulatory capital or working capital. Not only that, even the water that they use, even the water that you use, in case you are using water. Then we have the last one, which is called social capital. Social capital. This refers to the type of capital or assets provided by the government that aid production. Provided by the government that aid production. They are by the site, but they aid production. Examples of this include roads that the government makes, that the government make, that the government provides. Good routes that will link the business people to obtain their raw materials from different sources to take them to their factory. At the same time, roads that will lead them to take the goods produced to different places for sale. It's an example of social capital. Not only that, we have another example of social capital as electricity provided by the government, as well as water, as well as telephone, so on and so forth. And with this, we have come to the end of our third factor of production, which is capital. We now go to the last one, which is entrepreneur. Entrepreneur. Now, what do we mean by entrepreneur? Entrepreneur can be defined as the factor of production that coordinates and organizes other factors of production in order to produce goods and services. He is the one that coordinates all other factors of production in terms of land, labor, and capital. He coordinates them, organizes them in order to have what is needed to be produced. He is the owner of the business. He is the owner of the business that invests his resources in order to get profit and also bears the risks. That's why he's known as a risk bearer. And the reward for entrepreneur is profit. I forgot to tell you, the reward for capital is interest. The reward for capital is interest. And the reward for entrepreneur is profit. Whatever is going to realize from the business is going to the entrepreneur. He's the one that will share it. He's the one that will take everything. So his reward is what he is able to get as profit. And that's talking about what we mean by entrepreneur. Now we go to characteristics of entrepreneur. Number one, he bears the risk involved in the business. He bears the risk. He is a risk bearer. Because you cannot do business without risks. Risks must be there. So when the risk comes, he is the one that will bear them. As well as when the profit comes, he is the one that will share it and share it alone. Number two, he organizes all the other factors of production. Number three, he takes decision concerning the running of the business. He is the one that takes decision. Number four, he has absolute control over the other factors of production. He has absolute control over the other factors of production. Let me go to the importance of our entrepreneur. Number one, we have said this, he takes decision. Number two, he provides capital use in the cost of running the business. Number three, he bears the risk involved in running the business. Number four, he manages the business effectively. Number five, he controls the business effectively. Number six, he determines pricing policy, how much is going to be placed on the goods. And number 7, he organizes or carries out research activities on what to produce, how to improve his production. That's talking about the other 3 factors of production, which we said will bring us to the end of this class. But before we go, we have assignment as usual. Number 1 is discuss the characteristics of 1 level 2 capital. Discuss the characteristics of 1 level 2 capital. Question number 2, who is an entrepreneur? Who is an entrepreneur? Question number 3, mention any 5 functions of mention any 5 functions of an entrepreneur. Mention any 5 functions of an entrepreneur. By the time you write your assignment, as usual, you can send it to us through WhatsApp, as usual, or SMS. My number is Abbas Shehu 081 00127508. Again, Abbas Shehu on 081 00127508. And my other colleague, Yari Zakaria, on 080-656-94134. Again, Yari Zakaria on 080-656-94134. Stay home, stay safe, keep learning. See you in our next class. Have a beautiful time.